In this module, we learn how to set up Vi with some special options that modify the behavior of Vi in slight ways. There's actually a great deal of these options available to us, but not all of them are particularly useful. Anyway, use :set to list the currently set options that you have. Or if you want to list every single option available, use set all. I'll just show you what that looks like now. So I just type in :set, and it shows me some options that I have currently set, and there's what, about 12 of them, I suppose, and I press enter. Or if I type in set all, then it lists me all of them, and there's a great deal. There's five pages of them. What do they all do? Well, you'd have to look in a Vi reference text to find out what they all do, but I'll show you some brief examples of some of them in this module. You can break these options down into two different sorts of options. The first is on-off options. They're either set or they're not set. They're on or they're off. An example of that is AI. We'll have a look at what AI means in a moment, but for now we'll just treat it as an example of an on-off option, and you specify them like this: :set AI. Now that turns the option on, or you put the letters NO in front of the AI, no space there, just NO AI, and that turns the option off. Let's have a look at that. So I just do :set AI, and it's now turned on. It doesn't tell me that it's turned on, but it is. Or :set AI, sorry, no AI, and now it's turned off. The other sort of option that we have are what we call value options. TS is an example of a value option, and they are specified as follows. You put the name of the option, then an equal sign, and then the value that you're setting it to. That value might be a number, or it might be some other word. It depends on the option. Let's have a look at an example of that. :set space TS equals 4. And that's it. It's set. So that's how you go about setting these options. But what options are actually useful for us to set? Well, let's have a look at some. Options that I've found useful include, reading from top to bottom, AI, we mentioned that before. What does it actually mean? Auto-indent. Cause new lines to inherit the indentation of the previous line. Let's have a look at how that works. Here I am sitting on an indented line. Now if I type in the letter O, which means create a new line, a new blank line immediately under this line, look where the cursor is flashing. It's flashing over in the margin. That's the behavior that you get if you don't have the AI, the auto-indent flag, turned on. So now I'll set AI, auto-indent is now turned on, and now I'll create a new line, and now look where the cursor is flashing. It's auto-indented itself to be exactly the same as the line above it. This is useful for programmers and other people like that. Okay, so that's the AI option. Let's have a look at some others. We have the ignore case option, IC, which simply says that searches will be case insensitive. That means that searching for uppercase FRED, Fred, will match any version of lowercase Freds or a mixed case of Fred. It doesn't matter whether the text that you're finding is uppercase or lowercase, it will still match it. Now that's off by default, which means that any search that you do will be case sensitive. You'll actually have to specify the exact case of what you're searching for. I won't demonstrate that because it's fairly self-explanatory. The next one is NU, turn on or turn off line numbers. Let's have a look at what line numbers look like. So if I do SET space NU, then it turns on line numbers, and line numbers look like that. Now, those numbers that you see on the screen are not actually in the text file that you're editing. They are simply displayed on your screen as a guide so that you can use to find your way around the file more easily. Some people like them a lot, some people like me find them totally unnecessary and even annoying. I'll now turn them off. SET, no NU. and it goes back to the way it was before. Next we have the SW option, which is short for shift width, which specifies the number of spaces left or right when used with the indentation commands. Remember those? The double greater than and double less than letters? If you use those, the current line, or whatever you specify, will be indented left or indented right. The SW option says how many spaces to move them in and out. Let's see what that looks like. So if I set SW to be equal to 8, for example, then if I shift this line right using the double greater than sign, I'll do that now, it moves 8 characters into the right. Similarly, if I shift it left, it moves 8 characters to the left. Now if I set the shift width to be equal to, say, 3, then if I shift left, it moves only 3 characters, 3 more, and 3 more, and so on. And finally, one that's used in conjunction very often with shift width is TS, which is short for tab stop, which is the number of spaces used to display each tab character. Let's see if we've got any tab characters in this file. Yes, we do. There's one right there. I can tell that's a tab character because if I try and move to the character to its left, I can't do it. So that is actually the first character in the line, and it's 3 characters wide because the tab stops in this file are currently set to 3. And there's another one. 1 tab stop, 2 tab stops, and this is 3 tab stops in. So that line is indented 3 tab stops, that one's indented 2, that one's indented 1, and that one's not indented at all. So let's set the tab stops to be displayed with a different width. TS equals, say, 8, and then everything is displayed wider, or every tab stop is displayed wider. I could set TS equals 2, and then things are not indented very far at all for each tab. Naturally, tab and shift width are going to be fairly commonly used together. So anyway, there's just a brief sample of some of the options that you might find useful. There's ones that govern word wrapping, and whether Vi should make any noises, and whether Vi should be color-coded, and so on. Simply refer to your Vi documentation for the full set. Finally, you may find that when you get the options just right, you may actually want them to become permanent. In other words, you may find that you don't want to have to keep setting these options every time you start Vi. I probably should have mentioned, but that's exactly what happens. You specify all these settings, and as soon as you quit Vi, it loses all these settings. It forgets them, if you like. So if you want Vi to remember those settings, then create a file in your home directory called .exrc and put all the commands in that. Ensure that every line starts with the word set followed by the option that you want to set. Let me show you an example of a exrc file. Here's my .exrc file. I like my tab stops and my shift width to be both 4, and I like things to be auto-indented. This is because I'm a bit of a programmer. So any option that you consider to be useful, simply put it in this file and it will become permanent. Before we finish this chapter on Vi, I'll just show you a few useful things that you might find on the internet. This page on the internet is probably the most comprehensive page on Vi, and believe me, there are a lot of them. It gives you a great deal of information about Vi clones, a definition of Vi, history, and dozens of versions of Vi and what they support. Now, probably the most useful thing you'll find on this page is a list of Vi quick reference guides. When you're learning Vi, there's nothing that you need more strongly than a quick reference guide to Vi. A list, if you like, of the most common commands, the ones that you find useful and their brief usage. What you would do is you typically print that out and post it on the wall next to your desk so that you can quickly refer to it. This is what I did for some months. So, do we have any such quick guides? Well, yes we do. Let's have a look at one. Before we do, please note that you don't have to write down the addresses that I am showing you here because I'm putting every address into the little links file that I'm including with this course. Just look on your CD for that. Here is a very quick reference guide, just a few useful commands, some of which I've shown you, most of which I've shown you, but some of them I haven't. That's very quick, you could print that out, probably wouldn't take up too much room, but that's not particularly comprehensive. I'll show you a more comprehensive one, probably the most comprehensive one that I've found on the net. Here we are, scrolling down, and there we go. So first we have move commands, and there's a whole bunch of those. Then we have searching, then we have undoing changes, appending text, and it just goes on and on and on and on and on. So find the link in the file on the CD that I've provided and go and check that out. It's possibly a bit too long to print out, but it is a very, very useful Vi reference. Also, make sure you look in the manual page for Vi on your current Unix system. That will also prove to be a very useful source of information about Vi. Finally, before we go, just in case you're interested, it is possible to run a Windows version of Vi. Vi has been ported to just about every operating system, so I'll just show you a copy of Vi for Windows that I've downloaded. And here it is. Vi for Windows has a few nice advantages. You can highlight your text like that. Before you cut, copy or paste it, you can do file open, file save without having to worry about :W queues and all that nonsense. It's got an undo button and a find button. And if you do want to use one of those lines that begin with a colon, you can. You just type in colon, and you can see down here you've got the various colon command line available to you. So you could, if you wanted to, just type in :W, and it would save the file. Oh well, that's all I wanted to show you. You can download that. Just do a search for Vi for Windows on the net. That's the end of the chapter on Vi.